about that?
It can take one day to meet your soulmate.
I'm a disaster.
Everyone's lost at 25.
You're not. Kitty could use some nice new flat.
And a lifetime to realize it.
Getting married.
I need to speak to someone, not someone new.
Anne Hathaway and Jim Sturgis.
Whatever happens tomorrow, we had today.
One day, rated PG-13.
And again, like I said, the trailer doesn't make it look that bad. But it's one of those movies that has a moment where it literally has the jumping the shark moment in it, where it's just kind of like, what the hell are you even doing? But we'll talk about that as we go along here. But after spending the night together on the night of their college graduation, Dexter and Emily, played by Jim Sturgis and Anne Hathaway, are shown every year on the same day to see where they are in their lives. They are sometimes together, sometimes not, on that day. And the plot for One Day was actually pretty interesting, kind of like the equivalent of a mix between Before Sunrise meets Back to the Future, like the Before Trilogy meets Back to the Future, or even Groundhog Day is probably a better example, because you have these two people who meet every year on a specific day. And I thought the idea of showing these characters meeting on the same day for 20 years was a pretty good idea for a movie. In fact, around this time, Richard Linklater was making that movie Boyhood, which was about 2 years away from still coming out. The movie where he followed a kid from birth at age 11, and to the point where every year they keep with him a bit from now until 2002. And the movie came out a couple years later and was actually a really damn good movie. I think he's actually doing another one with this, honestly, that's in concept. I don't know for certain, but I know he was talking about doing another one, and I think they already had started working on those films, but as far as this film goes, it's so-so. When the movie came out, it was criticized for being kind of predictable, and I always say that a romantic comedy or drama with a predictable plot can be good if the two main characters' chemistries work well enough, and for the most part, Anne Hathaway and Jim Sturgis are great in this. They actually are people who really are like a real-life couple that just don't know what they really want yet. And I thought Anne Hathaway surprisingly did a good job with the British accent. I know in the trailer it didn't sound that great, but it actually did sound a whole lot better in the actual movie. I mean, she was born in Brooklyn, and I was very surprised to see that she actually did it so well. And you got Jim Sturgis in here doing a pretty good job. And for the first two acts, it was pretty good. I was getting into it. I like the style that they use and having the characters interacting in some way on that same day. Like, those first two acts were nicely done, and if the third act had just been as good as those two acts before that, I would be praising the movie. However, the third act drops it down so quickly. And here's the thing that makes me hate those three. There are three things about that third act that I hate. One, they start jumping around with the dates after 2001, which the purpose of this was supposed to be following the characters on the same day for 20 years. So we're going to stop it at 2001, and then we're going to jump to 2003. Like, I would have liked to have seen these characters the July 15th after September 11th happens. I mean, you could have done that at some point, but no, they just jump ahead to 2003. And then there's another point where in 1996 the two leads decide not to speak with each other, and then they jump to 1997 to 1999 without showing them together in the same shot. You could have done the same thing in 2002, but the movie decides to just stop in its tracks and just like, fuck it, we're not even going to be consistent with our premise anymore. Two, the editing gets so sloppily put together. I mean, Jesus Christ. At the end, there's a scene in 1988 where these two meet Dexter's parents, and I believe that scene should have been saved for the beginning of the movie with the rest of the 88 sequence and not tagged on to the end. And the biggest problem with the movie, the point that made me say I hate this movie so much, and this is a spoiler, so if you have not seen it, I dare you, as I ask you to step away. But at this point, it's been 14 years, and if you haven't seen it by now, chances are you're probably not going to see it anyway, but I gotta tell you this. So we get to 2006, and we see Anne Hathaway riding on her bicycle into an alley, and then out of nowhere, out of the blue, with no foreshadowing at all, a truck comes and hits Anne Hathaway and instantly kills her, leaving Jim Sturgis devastated. There are so many things wrong with this whole sequence. Where do I even start? Well, let's start off with the fact that it would have been cool if they didn't show it, but they showed it, and it looks absolutely terrible and unintentionally funny. And I hate when movies that are not comedies do this kind of shit. I mean, it works in a comedy like Mean Girls, in a comedy like the Scary Movie films, and in a comedy like Get Smart, because They're comedies. When comedies do something like this, it's funny. Even in something in the Final Destination movies, when they make that the running gag of every movie, that's funny. It's a horror movie, but it's a funny thing. Like, it's funny when it happens out of nowhere. But when it happens in a serious drama, like in this movie, or more notably in something like Meet Joe Black, which has one of the funniest, over-the-top death scenes for Brad Pitt I've ever seen. But even more funnier, the shitty 2002 remake of The Time Machine, where Guy Pearce's fiance gets trampled by a horse and carriage, and it literally is showing it right in the mirror, and it's supposed to be all serious and all that, but there's nothing serious about that. It is absolutely hilarious. And, like, that's the type of stuff that you don't show in a drama like this, in a serious film that we're supposed to be taking seriously, and you show that shit. Third, and most importantly, it comes out of nowhere. And when it happens, Sturgis's reaction to finding out that the one he had loved all these years had just died is not even shown. He's just kind of like, whatever, who cares what this guy's emotions or status is? We just cut to the next year, we got no foreshadowing on the impending truck crash that will kill Anne Hathaway at all, and they don't even decide to break the purpose of the film to show her funeral. It's just like the women on the guy's side has just died, and we just decide not to show it. But, I'm sorry, that's fucking stupid. It made me so mad when I saw that, when that scene came up, and the rest of the film just stops dead in its tracks and suffers because of how that scene happens. Once that happens, the film just goes careening off the cliff, and there's no turning back at all. And it's a shame, because the first two acts were good. The first two acts were working. The chemistry was working well. But then that third act happens, and it's like the filmmakers just gave up and said, fuck it. Fuck it. They're going to put this out in August, so that means if people aren't going to give a shit about this movie, then why the fuck should we? Give a shit about your movie. I don't care what month you put it out in. Try. Put effort into it. For God's sake, there is no reason for you to stoop to this low. And I couldn't believe this film did that. This movie went to the bottom of the barrel of the worst films of the year within 30 minutes. That is unbelievable for a film like this. And I still can't believe that this film went to that low point. I mean, this is awful, man. This is a terrible, terrible movie. This is like the ending of Remember Me, except it's longer than the way it ends. That movie ends, and it made it even more of an excruciating experience than that film did. One Day is a bad movie, and it's the same, because the first two acts were working so well, but then as soon as Anne Hathaway gets hit by the truck, it's just like game over, man. Like, I'm amazed that I didn't walk out when that happened, but I was given it the benefit of the doubt, and the doubt just said, yeah, go fuck yourself. You're not getting the ending you deserve. It's just like, just awful, awful, awful. So, yeah. One Day, just fucking awful, man.
We now know that meteors will land off the coast.
Evacuations are now underway.
It appears that there's some shadowy figures. Lucas, if you could just come back, please.
When you invade a place for its resources, you wipe out the indigenous population. Right now, we are being colonized.
Rated PG-13.
Excuse me. Yeah, this is why I don't chug. Yeah, that was completely pointless. But just like this weekend, welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the three films, in quotation marks, of March 11, 2011. They're called films, but I'd like to consider them steaming piles of garbage, because, yeah, every single one of these movies is absolutely horrible. Case in point with our first film, Battle Los Angeles, in which you have a Marine Staff Sergeant, played by Aaron Eckhart, who leads a platoon of U.S. Marines, joined by other stranded military personnel, defending Los Angeles from an alien invasion. Now, if you remember the movie Skyline from back in November, there was a controversy going on between the Strauss brothers, Greg and Colin. Still recovering from that, but from the drink, by the way. But they were hired to do visual effects work on Battle Los Angeles, but they also were using the same type. But they were also making their own Los Angeles-based alien film in Skyline, which was supposed to compete with Battle Los Angeles and use the resources they had gained while working on the film without the consent of Sony Pictures. And so spokesman for the Strauss said that any claims of impropriety are completely baseless. This is a blatant attempt to Sony to force these independent filmmakers to move a release date that had been long set by universal relativity and is outside of the filmmakers' control. And then Sony initiated arbitration against Hydraulic and the Strauss brothers, and then later dismissed the arbitration. I think they realized that this was not a case they really wanted to get into, because both of those movies are fucking terrible. And yeah, this is just as bad, if not worse, than Skyline, because this is literally just District 9, except with an even bigger blown-up budget. And this is Sony Pictures ripping off District 9. They released District 9 under TriStar. This is like if the producers of that movie came to Battle Los Angeles came to District 9 and say, "Hey, can I copy your homework? Okay, yeah, but change some things around so it doesn't look like you're cheating." And they failed miserably at that, because yeah, you could take all the places out of District 9 and literally put it in this movie. That's exactly what Battle Los Angeles is. A steaming pile of garbage that's just ripping off District 9 and just failing miserably at it. And it's just not a good movie. The visuals are just so terrible. Like, this is like a Michael Bay Transformers movie, except Michael Bay is nowhere near this film whatsoever. And they're not doing a good job of making this thing look any kind of realistic whatsoever. It doesn't even look good for a video game. I mean, this thing looks terrible. Terrible. Like, the visuals are terrible. It takes itself way too seriously. Like, this is way too serious for a film that should be stupid fun all across the board. This needed to be like Starship Troopers on that type of a level. But this movie is just so ridiculously stupid. It's way too long. This cast is completely wasted in here. You got Aaron Eckhart, Bridget Moynihan, Neo, Michael Pena, Michelle Rodriguez, Ramon Rodriguez, directed by Jonathan Liebsman, who is not the best director overall. I mean, granted, he did do Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which wasn't that bad of a movie compared to some of his other films. But then again, you would expect this from the same director who did Darkness Falls. And I think this actually was the last thing he did. No, I thought it was, but no, he did not even a movie, but he did the short film of Rings. He also did the Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning, and yeah, okay. This guy is not a great director. His best movie was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He also did Wrath of the Titans, which the sequel that nobody was asking for, but because Clash of the Titans was a success, that's why we got it. This thing sucks. This movie is not a good movie. This is a lousy, lousy film. Terribly put together, badly written, just choppy, horrible visual effects, and just a blatant rip-off of District 9, and not in any good way, shape, or form. This movie sucks, plain and simple.
Hanging out backstage.
I've gotten proposed to twice.
There's a food group for each one.
Kurt and I mean, we run this whole ship.
We shot a 3D movie.
Everybody's got a dream, and this is mine.
Glee totally celebrates the underdog, and it empowers the underdog in everybody.
Get your booty down here so we can bring this house down!
The movie. The music. In 3D. Glee, the 3D concert movie.
Please, save your money. This thing sucks.
You think Jane Lynch is kidding there? No. She's giving you a legitimate warning. Stay away from this movie because it really does suck. This is, of course, the 3D concert movie based off the popular television series, which, even by 2011 in its second season, that shit was dying out quickly. I mean, the first season was a success for Glee, but then since then, the show had kind of fallen off. And funny enough, it fell off at its highest peak when it was followed after the Super Bowl and had an episode that I was a fan of the show when it first came on. The first season I thought was really good. After that, it just fell apart pretty quickly because it just fell into routine, the same things over and over again. People got to pick on the Glee Club. They got to throw the slushies at them like it's supposed to be like that's supposed to be like a pivotal moment in there. But yeah, once in the beginning it's funny, but as it continues on and they do it every single episode, it's just kind of like, come on, man, like it's getting ridiculous. It got ridiculous pretty quickly, and it fell apart pretty quickly. Not even a year into its run, and it's the last couple The other seasons of Glee were pretty terrible, but the first season was alright. But this is a movie depicting the Glee cast concert in East Rutherford, New Jersey during the group's 2011 Glee Live in Concert Tour. It features behind-the-scenes footage, a set list of songs from the first 2 seasons, as well as the behind-the-scenes footage, and the film portrays the series' influence on teenagers, including one who's gay, one with Asperger's syndrome, and a cheerleader with a short stature. Yeah, so it's basically trying to pull every heartstring you can while trying to save this movie for having a purpose to exist right here. Because I'm going to be completely honest with you. You know, the Jonas Brothers, Justin Bieber, Miley Cyrus, those made sense to have concert movies because they were based off of, they were movies that were coming out that were hard to get tickets to the actual concerts for, and you had to get scalpers to come get the best tickets available, and you understand making a movie on that level because you can make a movie for the big screen and it won't cost you as much as trying to get these tickets from scalpers and all that. There was more lashback on the Justin Bieber movie because everyone thought it was way too early to make a movie about the kid when he was only 16, and even then, the guy wasn't a bad singer. The kid wasn't a bad singer. I just thought he was just way too overhyped. He's got the Taylor Swift thing where we're going to overhype this guy to a T and turn him into the next Michael Jackson. Because that's what they were literally trying to do. Which I feel like they were trying to do with Taylor Swift by turning her into the next Whitney Houston. Which, yeah, nobody's going to ever top them, whatever you try to do. But I think people wouldn't have been as harsh to Justin Bieber as they are now. I caught a little bit of that movie before, back in the day. And I mean, it wasn't bad, per se. It just felt unnecessary. But with this, however, there's no excuse to make this movie. And to force people to pay $12 to see this movie, because this is in 3D. Yeah. And to pay $12 to see this in the theater, you better be getting something really good for 3D besides whatever the hell this movie was. I mean, even High School Musical had a concert movie that Disney was smart enough to put out on DVD and not force people to see it in theaters. Fox just had no reason to put a Glee concert movie in theaters because by this point, Glee is already losing many of its viewers already. I mean, the show has already started its falling off point, and the fact that it made it to 6 seasons, with a second season that was really slumming it, like, this was terrible. And surprise, surprise, the film bombed at the box office. I mean, they made their money back. They made double their money back. But for a movie based off of Glee, you expect a whole lot more than this. I mean, this is just a bland concert experience. And even adding in these ridiculous segments, like I said before, of like the whole thing was just like, well, here's these kids with special needs and all that. Just like, okay, and like, you can't mix two things into one. You can't have both a concert movie and a feature-length episode split into different segments in the same movie. Either do it one way, or don't do it at all. Plain and simple. But this was one of the more excruciating film experiences I had in 2011 because there's no reason to make a movie like this. Nobody is demanding tickets for this than they would for a Justin Bieber or a Miley Cyrus concert. I mean, that's just something where it's just like, the whole thing is just a ridiculous ploy and an attempt to get as much money as you can as the sinking ship that is Glee is continuing to go through 2011. Because I'm telling you, by 2011, the show had lost already a bunch of its muster, and nobody cared at that point when it was all said and done. Like, when the show ended, everyone was just kind of like, oh, I didn't know that was still on the air. Because that's exactly what happened. Like, nobody gave a crap anymore. Like, the show had one great season, and then it just completely faded out into obscurity, and nobody even remembers it to this day. No matter how hard you try, there's just nothing there. The only thing that the show is memorable for is for the fact that half the cast keeps dying from it. I mean, literally, I think 3 people have died after the show ended or as the show was on the air. Like, we got a Glee curse thing going on here, man. We haven't had a thing that's related to like a curse or anything, but we've got a Glee curse going on here. I pray that the rest of the people that were involved in this cast make it out without ever having to suffer the same fates that those 3 people did beforehand. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Glee, the 3D concert movie. Just absolutely pointless. Absolutely 100% pointless.
Absorbing all our power supply.
They came here with a plan. What's ours?
You gotta be kidding me. Oh Oh my god. The first time I watched the trailer for this, I thought to myself, this is a joke, right? This has to be a parody. This cannot be a real movie by any means necessary. Sorry for the light changing. I'm just going to the next page here, but no, this is an actual movie that people were very serious about. And they decided to put this out on Christmas Day. And spent $65 million to put it out. I haven't had a good laugh like that in a while, I'll tell you what. But, what's the story of this movie? American software designers Sean and Ben travel to Moscow to sell their software to investors. However, their Swedish partner Skylar pulls a fast one on Sean and Ben, and they are out of the business. They go to a nightclub where they meet Americans Natalie and Anne, an Australian Anne, because why the hell not? They flirt with the girls and see Skylar in the club. Out of the blue, the population is surprised by lights, which they mistake for natural phenomena, but soon they learn the lights are aliens invading Earth, and use the power supply to annihilate mankind. So these little lights are aliens. Like, we can't get any lazier than this, people. This is ground zero. Sorry, there's still more plot here. Sean, Ben, Natalie, Anne, and Skylar hide in the kitchen. When they leave the place, they seek out survivors on the street. Are they the last people on Earth? Oh, I hope so, because if anybody else on this planet was completely destroyed by these tiny little specks of light, then these people deserve to be the last people on Earth. I mean, my God, what a horrible, horrible movie. There is zero effort put into this whatsoever. The most threatening thing are these little tiny specks of light. Like that right behind me could be an alien right now that could destroy me in the most cartoonish way possible. I'm sorry, there's no way to take this seriously when the first thing you see of these aliens attacking is a dog getting obliterated in the stupidest way possible. This is one of the dumbest movies I've ever seen in my entire life. This is really stupid. Everything about this movie sucks. I mean, this cast, Emile Hirsch, Max Minghella, Olivia Thirlby, Rachel Taylor, Joel Kinnaman, they all deserve much better movies than this. This right here is ground zero for stupid sci-fi movies. A film that's trying to start a big sci-fi franchise for some entertainment because, hey, the Twilight series is coming to an end, and we didn't think we could get any stupider than those movies, but here we go, right here. Just fucking awful, man. Just what a terrible, terrible movie. Like, what more do you have to say? The Darkest Hour. Absolutely fucking awful.
This spring, Academy Award nominee James Franco.
You have the potential to be a noble warrior.
Academy Award winner Natalie Portman.
You cannot rest until you destroy those who harmed your family.
And 5th grade class president.
Delicious.
Danny McBride.
Let us
From the director of Pineapple Express, Your Highness.
We have another bite of some meat.
Rated R. In theaters April 8th.
Yeah, you can kind of see where a lot of the problems with this movie comes into play. It's a movie that has a very ambitious idea, doing like an R-rated equivalent to The Princess Bride, but yeah, it's got the ambition and the high concept to it, but execution-wise, we've kind of seen this done before in so many ways, shapes, and forms. Like, the premise for this is nothing original whatsoever. You have an arrogant prince, played by James Franco, and his brother, played by Danny McBride, on a quest to kill a sorcerer, played by Justin Theroux, and save the bride, played by Zooey Deschanel, and their father's kingdom, and they're joined by Natalie Portman, who had just won the Academy Award for Best Actress for Black Swan, which, thank God she did, because this probably would have been a movie where, if she had not won, people would have put the blame on this film in particular, but I mean, the film has a good concept overall, an R-rated equivalent to something like I said, The Princess Bride, or these fantasy epic movies, but I think a show like Disenchanted, from the guys that did The Simpsons and Futurama, did that concept a whole lot better. It was much more funnier, they took more chances with it because it's animation. With this, yeah, it looks nice, it's got a bigger budget to it, but you give a movie like this a bigger budget, you better expect to make your money back here. You don't dump this out in the middle of April where nobody really is going to go see this movie and you think you're going to sell on the same levels that you did with Pineapple Express and also forgetting Sarah Marshall and all these other R-rated comedies that Universal was putting out back then. But this is just a movie that really it didn't really live up to the promise that it had. It would help if the jokes were actually funny, but no, a lot of the jokes they have in here are just lazy jokes. Like, oh look, there's Danny McBride falling down in a night suit. There's a part of the movie where Danny McBride sees Natalie Portman coming into his bedroom. And he's just like, and Natalie Portman's just like, I've been thinking a lot about you lately. And Danny McBride's just like, well, that's funny, because if I get back to bed, I'll be thinking about you. It's just like, jokes like that get so old so fast. And it's just like, come on, man. Like, even the bad guy isn't threatening whatsoever. And Zooey Deschanel has probably one of the most pointless roles I've seen her in a long, long time. Like, this woman does absolutely nothing throughout the course of this movie. And again, it feels like Hollywood has just completely forgotten about what Zooey Deschanel could do, besides what she did in New Guy and Elf and these other movies. Like, it feels like she's stuck in another performance like The Happening. Like, don't be anything, just be the damsel in distress. Don't do anything. It's just like it doesn't make any sense why she's even in this role in particular. Like, you've got her in here. Do something with her. You've got Justin Theroux playing the bad guy. Justin Theroux can be fun. Do something with him. Like, the movie can't even do that. Like, this film is so lazy in an attempt to try to be so unique and so different. Like, it's no wonder this thing failed to find an audience. This was back when Universal had so many bombs going on. Like, between 2009 and 2011, they had so many bad movies that were flops. Some of them were actually good movies, highly unique comedies, like the aforementioned Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and also what was the other one, MacGruber, and just recently we had Paul. But this feels like there was a concept there, but they just didn't go all the way with it, and like, it just makes no sense whatsoever why this movie came out like it is, and it just didn't work. It's just not a good movie. It's a terrible film. A complete waste of time. Just not a great film. Not a great film whatsoever.
Does he know my range? Does he know he butchered my mother? Let me see your face.
And welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the 3 films that make up November 11th, 2011. 11/11/11. This is the only time I'm ever going to be able to say that. So yeah, I am going to say it over and over again. Maybe not over and over again, but you get the idea. Eons after the gods won their mystic struggle against the Titans, a new evil threatens the land. Mad with power, King Hyperion, played by Mickey Rourke, has declared war against humanity. Amassing a bloodthirsty army of soldiers disfigured by his own hand, Hyperion has scorched Greece in search of the legendary Epirus bow, a weapon of unimaginable power forged in the heavens by Ares, played by Daniel Starman. Only he who possesses the bow can unleash the Titans, who have been imprisoned deep within the walls of Mount Tartarus since the dawn of time and thirst for revenge. In the king's hands, the bow would rain destruction upon mankind and annihilate the gods. But ancient law dictates that the gods must not intervene in man's conflict. They remain powerless to stop Hyperion until a peasant named Theseus, played by Henry Cavill, comes forth as their only hope. Secretly chosen by Zeus, Theseus must save his people from Hyperion and his hordes, rallying a bunch of fellow outsiders, including visionary priestess Federa, played by Frida Pinto from Slumdog Millionaire, and cunning slave Stavros, played by Stephen Dorff. Which should be pretty much everything you need to know if Stephen Dorff is one of your big stars in Immortals. But one hero will lead the uprising or watch his homeland fall into ruin as his gods vanish into legend. Blah, 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 blah. It's 300. It's literally produced by the guys who did 300. But it's also Clash of the Titans, because that was a big hit last year. And guess what? We got a sequel coming out, so we're going to beat the sequel to that. And yeah, this is a bad movie, man. This is a really, really lousy film. And again, it's Tarsem. I think the big problem is Tarsem. On a visual level, yes, it's incredible to watch his movies, but everything else, from the casting to the action to the costume designs, the production, and mostly the storytelling with the pretentious "ask me what it means" mentality that he had with The Cell. It's not as much bad as that movie was in this, but it's there, and it doesn't help that it is just ripping off 300, because 300 was the big hit 4 years ago, and everyone was trying to copy that success, and sure enough, this was being made when that boom was happening, And thus, the film we have here is a film that is pretty much what you expect it to be. A movie that is a lip-off, not really that much in terms of action or anything enjoyable out of it, except for the visuals. But other than that, though, there's really nothing there to this movie. It was largely forgotten when it came out. Well, yeah, it may have been the top movie at the box office, but you never hear anybody ever talk about this movie since, because it's a steaming pile of garbage. It's a waste of your time. You're sitting there for over 2 hours while this movie goes on, and there's just nothing of value to it whatsoever. It's a lousy film. It's a boring film. It's just nothing there. There's just nothing in this movie that makes it work.
Oh, Mom, can I go to circus camp?
I don't think so.
Then I can quit school and you can loan me out to a circus and I'll make gobs of money. No one in this family has any imagination. I, Judy Moody, am ready for the ultimate summer. And it doesn't include my brother Sting. I'm gonna catch Bigfoot. Right.
Your mom and I have to fly to California, and you and Stink are staying here.
What? Your Aunt Opal's coming. Hey, whoa. You know how to drive, right?
Of course.
You call that driving? And Opal turned out to be way cool. And we came up with a plan. Introducing the Judy Moody Mega Rare Not Bummer Summer Dare. So we do these dares, and for each one we get 10 thrill points. The thrill race is on. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Oh, what's wrong?
Okay. You could pretty much see some of the problems with the movie right from the get-go. It is pretty much a rip-off of Diary of a Wimpy Kid, because Diary of a Wimpy Kid was so successful. So let's take another popular book series of the same name and do the same thing with that. And the Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies weren't even that great to begin with. So we're ripping off something that wasn't that great to begin with and making something that's even worse. And that's the problem with Judy Moody and the Not Bummer Summer. It's based off the series of books of the same name, and it features this Australian actress Jordana Beatty as the titular character in a contest for the best summer with friends Amy Namer, who's off to Borneo, and Rockford Rocky Zhang, who's going to circus camp. Since her parents are off to California, Judy is stuck with her younger brother Stink and her free-spirited aunt Opal, played by Heather Graham. Her misadventures to have the best summer include a Bigfoot chase, various activities ruined by her friend Hank, and putting hats on animals with Opal. And one of the big problems with the trailer right off the bat is the trailer makes it seem like Heather Graham is like this kind of evil person, like she's somebody that, you know, that Judy does not want to be around because she treats her so badly. And just no, you don't get that from somebody like Heather Graham. I mean, Heather Graham does not come off as somebody who comes off as a menacing person in general, or somebody who's not cool by this film's logic. But I mean, she's perfectly fine in here. The casting overall is fine, I guess, but at the same time, the jokes really are just kind of lackluster and bland, and this movie doesn't feel like it's going for the jokes strictly from the books. It's just going like the typical PG kids movie route where, oh, we gotta have gross out humor, we gotta have her puke, we gotta have her best friend puking on her while she's on the roller coaster, and it's just kind of like why? Why do we have to degrade ourselves to that level? I mean, this is pretty lame. I mean, this is a lousy movie that's way too bright and colorful, even by the book standards. I mean, honestly, this could probably work in an animated format like Diary of a Wimpy Kid did later on down the road. Because I think the Diary of a Wimpy Kid Disney Plus animated movies are much better than the actual live-action movies. And that's my opinion. But this, yeah, it's just bland kids territory, and kids were smart enough to not want to go see this movie. I think the parents were smart enough to say, yeah, we're going to wait till this comes out on DVD or on the Disney Channel, because we're not going to take it, we're not going to suffer, we're not going to make you kids suffer from this. We have another kids movie later in the month that we're going to make you suffer through, but all a good time. But, like I said, man, the acting is fine, I guess, but other than that, this movie's kind of lame. I mean, this is a film that, even if you're a fan of the book, I don't think you'd be really that impressed by it by any means. So, yeah, so that's all I got to say about Judy Moody and the Not Bummer Summer. It's not a bummer summer, but it is kind of a bummer of a movie.
nothing. You remember nothing. I totally think this is working.
Oh, fuck you and your lazy, cheap attempts to make a Night at the Museum type of movie by having the whimsical music in there. It's like, oh, the magic is really in the zoo this time around instead of the museum. Fuck you. You made a shitty movie, and it's not even, you're not even trying to hide it here. Yeah, this is exactly what you think it is, folks. Kevin James stars as an unlucky zookeeper and the talking animals at a zoo who break the silence to help him find love. And, you know, he's engaged to Leslie Bibb in the beginning, but, you know, when he goes to propose to her, you know, she decides, oh, I don't want to do that because you're a zookeeper, and now you're a lazy zookeeper, and I want to go find somebody who has a job that'll pay for my needs, more importantly. Like, she's a bitch. I mean, she's literally a bitch who literally dumps this guy because of his job. Like, isn't the point of being married the fact that you're willing to stand behind somebody that you love 100%? Like, no matter what kind of a job situation they're in. Like, this is really stupid from the beginning. This is before the animals even come into play here. But when the animals come into play, it gets worse. It gets much, much worse because, yeah, the comedy never gets going. The jokes are terrible. The star-studded voice cast in this movie: Cher, Nick Nolte, Adam Sandler, Sylvester Stallone, Judd Apatow, Jon Favreau, Faison Love, Don Rickles. This is the last thing he did before he died. Congratulations, Don. You wasted your entire career as an insult comic by doing something that insults your film career, your entertainment career in general, by saying yes to this pile of garbage. I mean, this is a terrible, terrible fucking movie, man. It's lazy. The jokes aren't funny. That trailer alone, with nothing but screaming Kevin James and a screaming elephant, because we don't care about it. Because like most of the movies this summer for kids, we don't care about entertaining all of you out there, not just the kids, but the parents who are going to be forced to watch this pile of garbage. No. We're doing this to shut your kids up for an hour and a half. We feel like we've completed our mission. Thank you for your money, and I hope your kids are miserable for the rest of your life, for the rest of their existence. I mean, that's how bad of a movie this thing is, and this is how bad nearly the entire 2011 kids movie film slate for the summer was. Is because we've been getting nothing but garbage after another. Mr. Popper's Penguins, Judy, Moody and the Not Bummer Summer, Cars 2, Monte Carlo, and now there's yet another really bad kids film. You know, almost coincidentally, kind of like what's been happening this summer, with the one exception being, the two exceptions being Lilo and Stitch and Elio, which nobody went to go see Elio, bastards, but yeah. I hate this movie so much. I mean, this is just another bad movie to add to the list of really bad movies produced and starring Adam Sandler. And this isn't even the worst PG-rated Happy Madison movie, because guess what? Adam Sandler will tell Kevin James to hold my beer as I'll do Jack and Jill at the end of the year. And oh god. Oh god, that one. I think you get the point here. Zookeeper. Terrible, terrible movie. What more can you say?
What are you doing this weekend?
Laundry?
No way.
Homework?
Yeah.
Seeing Bucky Larson?
Yeah. Fucking Larson, born to be a star. Let's get fucked up.
Yeah.
That's all you gotta say to that marketing campaign. Just, yeah, plain and simple. I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to show that. I might have to censor that, but I'm sorry. That was a horrible, horrible marketing campaign for this movie. But then again, you wouldn't expect anything less from a movie directed by Tom Brady. No, not that Tom Brady. The Tom Brady that used to have respectability when he worked on The Simpsons and The Critic, but then became a Hollywood director and became known for such misfires as The Hot Chick. But okay, technically The Comebacks is kind of a fun movie overall, but it was certainly a lot better than the Freebird Seltzer spoof movies. But now he's back to garbage again with Bucky Larson, Born to be a Star, and I wanted to use that joke one last time because this is the last thing that Tom Brady ever directed, so take one last swing at that. So, in this movie, Nick Swardson stars as a man-child whose reserved parents were famous porn stars and plans to follow in their footsteps. Which would work for any other person, but not this dweeby, stereotypically nerdy character that looks so god-awful. Like, It's amazing that this thing got off the ground as it did. And you know they got off the ground because Adam Sandler's a big draw at Sony, and he can pretty much do whatever he wants to. You know, this is the third film this year that is one of the worst movies of the year. Like, this is just when you thought that was not bad enough, Adam Sandler will bring one more bad movie to the table in November with the last one we have here, but the film doesn't work because it's just not funny, and it's annoying. It is so goddamn annoying. The entire movie is nothing but is really bad comedy, in a cock-teasing movie that tries to make you think that you got a movie about a porn star, so you're going to see a bunch of porn stars and you hear a lot of boobs and all that. You do not see that at all in this fucking movie. This whole movie is a con. You go in there thinking you're going to get so much more. They lock the door behind you, and you're forced to sit there and be tortured for an hour and a half while watching this. That's what this movie is. That's what this ungodly mess of a film is. And I'm sorry. I'm the wrong person to say that, because hell, Nick Swartzen himself even said that if you don't like this movie, you just don't understand comedy. And if you think I'm kidding, I have the quote right here. Here's what he had to say. He said he blamed the poor financial showing of the difficulties of advertising the material. Gee, when you advertise it like the way you did with that, I can't see why people wouldn't want to come to see this movie. But he says, to promote an R-rated movie with commercials with this character, it was just really, really hard. It was hard to get this movie across to people. The trailers and theaters were really tame because we couldn't show any of the insanity, and even if we did it, it wouldn't hit because it had no context. It was just really frustrating. He predicted the film would find more appreciation on DVD. It did not. This thing was quickly forgotten so much. Like, it didn't even make back its budget of $10 million. This thing made $10 million. This thing cost $10 million to make. You can't even make your money back from that. But in the same interview, and this is the kicker right here, I knew the critics were going to bury us because of the acting, how it was written and directed. None of these reviewers were psyched to see Bucky, Larson, and laugh. They go with the mentality, fuck these guys for making another movie. They go in there to kind of headhunt. It makes me laugh because it's just so embarrassing. It makes them look like such morons. No, it makes you look like a moron because your name is all over this puppy, and I'm sorry, you're not a reliable box office draw, man. So yeah, you did this all to yourself, and man, it's amazing how in one movie he makes himself even more obnoxious than fucking Rob Schneider did. Like, Rob Schneider, I'll give him this. The man is passionate about the movies he makes, no matter how terrible they are. Like, no matter what he does, he's just like, I don't care, I'm going to keep doing them because people keep going to see them. He sells those movies. Nick Swartzen, he couldn't even sell this one movie, and it crashed and burned so goddamn quickly afterwards. It's just like what did you think was going to happen when this movie came out? Like, it's inexcusable. It's an inexcusable mess of a film. It's a terrible movie. It doesn't work because it's not funny. It's not clever. It's not ridiculous. It's not stupid. I mean, it's stupid. It's not the fun kind of stupid, though. Like, you don't understand comedy. No, you don't understand comedy you don't understand what good. I'm losing my train of thought. I can't even think straight. It's you that's the one that doesn't understand comedy, because if you think that this is funny, then you are out of your goddamn mind. And it's no shocker that he went back to being Adam Sandler's little bitch in movies, because he keeps showing up in every other Adam Sandler movie since then, and has not gotten any better with time. And it's just like, it's amazing how in one fell swoop you out Rob Schneider with your lack of accepting failure when you fail miserably, because you failed miserably with this piece of shit. See, it's not really much of a shocker with this one. This one's pretty bad, so. But despite all of that, everything I just mentioned, it is still heads above our next movie, which is a film that you would think is something that there's no way that Adam Sandler could stoop to a load this big. But lo and behold, Jack and Jill is definitely that.
Adam Sandler is Jack. Adam Sandler is Jill. This November, Adam Sandler shits in your eyes, ears, and mouth. It's Adam Sandler in Rated R for Pirates.
Got a date with Al Pacino? I think Al Pacino wants to play Twister with your sister. Adam Sandler, funny.
Oh, thank God. It was only a bit on South Park. I completely forgot that that was something that was completely made up for South Park, and there is no way in absolute hell that a studio would be this desperate and this pathetic to make a movie this terrible, and you know exactly where the joke is coming here.
This holiday season, something terrifying is coming to visit Jack. His sister, Jill.
What are you doing? Why can't I just lay with you?
The producers of Grown Ups.
Hi, buddy! You're missing out!
She's crazy. She's never leaving.
Let's go! Oh, my God!
Adam Sandler is
Please don't destroy my pool.
Jack and Jill. November 11th.
Oh, yeah. It's real. It is absolutely real. And is absolutely the worst thing Adam Sandler has been involved in. Again, saying a whole lot considering the bad movies that this guy has been involved in. But as you can see, Adam Sandler stars in a dual role as the titular twin siblings, Jack and Jill, as well as Katie Holmes playing his wife, and Al Pacino. And it tells the story of an advertising executive who dreads the Thanksgiving visit of his unemployed twin sister, who overstays into Hanukkah at a time when he's instructed to procure Al Pacino's appearance in an upcoming Dunkin' Donuts commercial. Do I even need to say what's wrong with this movie? You pretty much know everything that's wrong with this. This is a movie that is clearly just Adam Sandler given a blank check by Columbia Pictures and saying, do whatever you want to do. We don't care about how bad it is or how lazy it is. We want to get a movie out in time for Thanksgiving. And don't worry about the PG-13 rating. We're going to make sure it's PG so that families can come out and see your garbage movie. Because that's exactly what this movie is. Bucky Larson was bad. Zookeeper was bad. Just Go With It was bad. This right here is the bottom of the barrel. This is the absolute worst thing ever. There is no plot. There's nothing about this movie that works. The humor is terrible. The writing is terrible. The cameos are awful. And I know everyone praises Al Pacino for this because, hey, it's something that Al Pacino's not used to doing. But I'm sorry, I don't give a shit. It's not what he does is not funny. Like, I don't care that the Dunkachino thing has become a meme. I don't care. It's not funny. The only people that find that funny are people that find other stupid memes that are not funny. It's not funny. That's the biggest problem with the movie. It's not funny. Nothing about this movie is funny. The gross-out humor isn't funny. The voice that Adam Sandler gives to this woman, if you thought that Whitey was an annoying voice in 8 Crazy Nights, Whitey is gold compared to whatever the fuck he was doing in this movie. This film is such a lousy mess of a movie that has no heart to it whatsoever, that has nothing of value to it whatsoever, and stupid people bought this bullshit. It went on to become a hit. It did become a hit at the box office, and it just, I mean, I have nothing else to say about this movie. It's garbage. It's not funny. Nothing about this is funny. Nothing about this is great to watch. All the characters are obnoxious and annoying. There is nothing of value in here whatsoever. I'm sorry. It's just not funny. It's not funny. Have you got the point yet? It's not funny. It's not funny. So anyway, not much more I could really add to this film. So
Pull over now! Come here!
The FBI's top agent.
Hey, son, what are you doing here? You just saw Cherkoff murder someone.
That means he's gonna kill me?
Is going back undercover.
Hide you.
How you gonna hide a swag big as this?
But this time, he's got backup.
La, la, la. You're a difficult child, Charmaine Daisy Pierce. Oh, my great niece. And you better start sounding like it before you scare someone.
How's this? Swing low, swing.
You know, in 2025, we have gotten a lot of sequels that have been completely pointless, have no reason to exist. You know, Happy Gilmore 2, Karate Kid Legends. We've had a lot of sequels that have no reason to exist ever since Top Gun Maverick kind of changed the game as a whole. But But yeah, here's an example of a movie that has no reason to exist, and only exists because Fox is so desperate to make a trilogy out of anything so they can have those 3 movie collections inside of Walmart in the $5 bin, because that's the only way you're ever going to see this movie. This is what do you expect, man? Malcolm Turner, played by Martin Lawrence, has gone back undercover as Big Mama. His teenage son, Trent Pierce, played by Brandon T. Jackson, in what is essentially the last movie where he was taken seriously whatsoever, because his career after Tropic Thunder crashed like a bad roller coaster accident. But he's just graduated from high school and is accepted into Duke University. However, he prefers to pass on college and pursue a music career as a rapper named Prodigy. With his mother Sherry away on vacation, which basically means Neil Long said, "I'm not coming back to this fucking franchise." Trent tries to get Malcolm to sign a contract for him, but Malcolm refuses as he believes that Trent should get his education. Persistent to get the signature, Trent stalks Malcolm while he works on a case and witnesses a murder. To keep Trent safe, Malcolm goes undercover as Big Mama for the 3rd time. Trent joins him going undercover as Big Mama's great niece, Charlemagne Daisy Pierce, at a performing arts school for girls. Trent tries to develop a romance with one of the girls as himself, while Big Mama is being pursued by the school's goofball security guard, played by Faison Love, who has a fascination with big women. That premise alone tells you everything that is wrong with this fucking film. First of all, a performing arts school for girls. Gee, I wonder what was so popular back then for 20th Century Fox that they had to put it in every single bad sequel they had. Oh wait, Glee. Yeah, this is the 2nd movie in 2 years where they brought in this whole idea of a musical art school and all that. Alvin and the Chipmunks, the Squeakquel, even though that technically wasn't an art school, they were still trying to save the music program, so we had to have musical numbers in here. Let's throw in the Big Mamas. Why? Fuck if we know, but hey, Martin Lawrence is back in the suit that people kind of wanted to see again. I mean, I don't know. I like the first Big Mama's House movie. It's nowhere near the levels of Tootsie or Mrs. Doubtfire, but it was fun for what it was. The second one was just... yeah, it was just nothing bad. Just mad. Nothing offensively bad. Nothing that's terrible in any way, shape, or form, but it did not need to exist. And just like this movie, this one didn't need to exist. Seriously. Who came up with this? I mean, who was asking for this movie? They didn't even try with this film. The film should have just been called Big Mama's House 3. We're taking your money because you have no brains if you like this. Everybody in this cast is horribly misused. Brandon T. Jackson, Sherry Shepard, Faison Love, Jessica Lucas, Martin Lawrence. Are your careers really this bad to drop to this low? Like, you have no idea how much I hated this movie. I had seen Little Fockers and Diary of a Wimpy Kid in the years since this movie before this movie came out. Those movies were bad. I mean, Diary of a Wimpy Kid was one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. But this right here takes the cake compared to Little Fockers. Little Fockers is bad, but Little Fockers was like Citizen Kane compared to this garbage. At least Little Fockers had somewhat of a reason to exist, but because the first 2 movies were so successful and it had a large fan base behind it, nobody was asking for this movie. Like, nobody was asking to see a Big Mama's movie on the big screen. Like, you wonder why the Dr. Dolittle sequels went straight to DVD. Because they couldn't get Eddie Murphy back, and they realized nobody is going to go see this movie in the theater. Even though Dr. Dolittle 3, they were going to try to put in theaters, and then somebody was just like, bitch, are you crazy? You got no Eddie Murphy, you got no Norm Macdonald back. I mean, fuck off with that. And somebody should have said the same thing about this here, because, yeah, this movie is fucking terrible. This is one of the worst pieces of garbage I have ever seen in my entire life. This is way, way worse than Little Fockers was, because Little Fockers was at least trying to come up with laughs, tried to be funny. At times, it did kind of do that, but not at many. The actors were at least trying in that movie. They were at least had a purpose for being there, for the most part. But this is just inexcusable. Nobody was asking for this movie in 2011. Not in 2006 when the last movie came out, but 2011. 11 years have passed. We have seen far better comedies before Big Mama's House, after Big Mama's House came out, that are so much better than this pile of garbage. This useless movie that is not funny. It is not entertaining piece of entertainment whatsoever. The villain in this movie is not threatening. His name is Jerkoff, because get it? His name rhymes with Jerkoff. Just like, fuck you. Just fuck off and die already. This franchise just needed to die. And sure enough, it did die because nobody was going to do another Big Mama's House movie. At least not yet. I mean, we are living in a time of legacy sequels, so who knows? I'm guaranteeing you we probably get Big Mama's 4 or something like that before the decade is over. I'm not even, it's probably already in the works right now. I mean, yeah, hey, Tom Hoffman's not at Fox anymore, but hey, you might find a way to bring it to Sony. I mean, after all, Regency Enterprises is no longer associated with Fox, so take that for what you will. And, yeah. By the way, speaking of worthless sequels that we don't... Look at what's playing on my TV during my review. A sequel that nobody was asking for in Freakier... I mean, who knows? It could be good. I mean, it's good to see Lindsay Lohan back in a role where she's not... doesn't look like she's embarrassing herself or wanting to be a party girl or what. And Jamie Lee Curtis is always fun and all, but I'm sorry. I'm getting sick and tired of these legacy sequels because they keep getting worse and worse and more pointless than ever. We just had Happy Gilmore 2, which was not nowhere near as good as Happy Gilmore was. It wasn't funny, it wasn't clever. It was pretty much everything that Big Mama's Like Father, Like Son is. There was no reason to make this movie except for name recognition. But by this point, nobody cared. This movie was so bad that I almost walked out. This would have been the 4th movie in my life I've ever walked out of. And as I was really going to walk out, the moment I walked out, the movie had already ended. The credits started rolling, and it's just kind of like, oh wow, I completely stayed around for the whole movie. But then they started doing a rap during the end credits. It's just like, okay, now I'm leaving. I'm not nothing of value will ever come from this point at this point going forward. So I'm just kind of rambling on at this point, but I think you get the idea. Big Mama's Like Father, Like Son sucks. It is one of the worst comedies I have ever seen, and I think it is one of the worst movies, if not the worst movie I've seen this in 2011. I'd have to double check. Plus, we've still got a couple weeks to go to look through all the films of 2011. But if it's actually no, it is not the worst movie of 2011 because Sucker Punch still has yet to come out. So Sucker Punch is still the worst movie of the year. But this is definitely very high up there with the worst movies I've ever seen in my life, and one of the worst movies of the year so far. Just terrible, terrible movie. Big Mama's Like Father, Like Son. I think you get the point.
You're afraid. Don't be. You don't think you're strong enough? You are. You'll reach your own paradise. Just let go. Your fight for survival starts right now.
I'm gonna stay from here, but I'm gonna be free.
Sucker Punch. Experience it in IMAX.
Yep, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached one of my top 3 worst movies that I have ever seen in my entire life. I've already done a full-on video talking about how much I fucking hate this movie. And it makes sense that Zack Snyder, after making what I think is arguably his best movie as a filmmaker, Legends of the Guardians, which was an animated movie, by the way, follows it up with his worst movie. And honestly, the title Sucker Punch couldn't have been more accurate because this sucks. And it feels like a punch in the gut when you watch it because, yeah, it's about as bad as you get. So I'll try to sum this up since I've already delved into this in greater detail in past videos, but this is Snyder's first movie based on an original concept in which Emily Browning stars as a young woman who's committed to a mental institution, and in order to cope, she envisages the asylum as a brothel and teams up with 4 dancers/prisoners to escape before she gets a lobotomy. As she collects the items she needs to escape, she enters another level of fantasy in which the women become strong, experienced warriors. Each fantasy is a parallel to the events in the brothel. Abby Cornish, Jenna Malone, Vanessa Hudgens, and Jamie Chung portray the other 4 prisoners, imagined as dancers by Baby Doll. Carla Gugino plays Dr. Vera Gorsuch, a psychiatrist who, in Baby Doll's mind, is known as Madame Gorski, a choreographer at the strip club. Oscar Isaac plays Blue Jones, the asylum's orderly, which is in Baby Doll's mind, is the corrupt owner of the brothel. So, let's quickly sum this up, because I have talked about this many, many times before. Everything about this movie is awful. Every single thing. The music is bad. the terrible emo covers. The score is awful. It literally feels like a score straight out of a CW series. I am not even kidding. The visuals are terrible. So much is going on. And you just cannot see what is going on in these movies. Like, Michael Bay would even tell Zack Snyder, tone it down on the visuals, dude. And Michael Bay's Transformers movies later on were known for over-cluttering special effects. But even he would look at this and go like, dude, tone this shit down already. And the big one, Zac Efron. I've got Vanessa Hudgens on my mind because they were together at that point, but like, Zack Snyder has this huge fetish for girls in bondage, and it shows. There are so many shots in this movie with these girls in skimpy bondage spandex clothes with their boobs hanging out, and this is literally Zack Snyder jacking off for an hour and a half to stuff that he did when he was a teenager, a horny teenager. Like, unless these girls start making out, there's nothing you can do to make me like this movie. Nothing at all. And the biggest problem with the film overall, the message, and the fact that they have to show everybody in this movie as a stereotype. Men and this woman are either douchebags, perverts, pedophiles, guys who start incest, stupid. The women in this movie, they're helpless, they don't do shit whatsoever, they act like abused housewives, and the only way they can get through this is by pretending they're not getting horribly raped and beaten, but pretend that they're fighting a gigantic robot monster because it'll make them strong, because this is the way we need to show female empowerment and strong lead female characters, and fuck off with that shit. This movie is everything that is wrong with films like this. Like, this movie is such a joke. It's such an insult to everything that is when it comes to writing good characters and writing characters that you either hate or want to get behind. You don't not like anybody in this movie for any particular reason. Like, it's weird because when I watched this for the first time, the first thought was because I was watching the My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, and that's an animated show made specifically for little girls, and that show had better written characters than this movie did. A show about 6 ponies was better than a big budget blockbuster by the director of Watchmen and 300. Just think about that for a second. Really think about what I just said. That is pretty pathetic. And the worst part about it is that Warner Brothers basically gave him Superman for this particular reason. Not because he had never seen Superman before or wanted to make Superman Batman so much, but let's be honest. They gave it to him because they were in desperation mode, because they had to get a Superman movie in production by this year, 2011, or they were going to lose the rights. That's been well documented out in the world of the internet. That's been well out there for years now, so nobody better come out there and tell me, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. No, that's exactly what happened. And this is the result of that. This is the result of that. Warner Brothers looked at this movie and said, this movie speaks to us. This should be the guy that should bring Superman back for a new generation. And look at what we got after that. Just think about what we got from that because of this pile of garbage. I've talked in depth about this in the video that I'll put up in the corner, but if you want to go read my full thoughts on that, it's right there. But this is a terrible movie. It killed Zack Snyder for me. Like, it was the movie that basically said, okay, this guy has completely lost his mind. And again, it's funny how his best movie was the Owl movie, and that was the last thing he did 6 months before this. And now he starts off this horrible trend of movies that begins with Sucker Punch. It's unbelievably bad. It is ungodly awful. Avoid this one like the plague. Like, seriously, this is one of those ones where I would say, avoid this one like the plague. Avoid it like it's a zombie and it's coming to attack you. Chop off the head and never think about it ever again, or don't even see it at all. Like, what was that horror movie? That terrible horror movie, The Bye-Bye Man. Don't say it. Don't think it. Don't even watch it. Like, you get the idea. Sucker Punch is a piece of shit.
What are your chances? 50-50? You'll be fine, man. If you were a casino game, you'd have the best odds.
Having a dog helps with the healing process.
What, does he have a medical license?
I'm gonna get it. No.
I'd rather have him. Exactly. That's why.
on, let's just do it. What do you use this for?
Body trimmer, so...
What is it? 50-50, rated R. Continues September 30th.
Oh my god, Sean Edwards has a review and a TV spot. Run for your life. Wait. He has that on a good movie. Excuse me for 1 second. Yeah, I can see it. Hell is officially frozen over. Sean Edwards actually likes a good movie. Hey, a broken clock is right every once in a while. Inspired by a true story, a comedy centering around a 27-year-old guy played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt who learns of his cancer diagnosis and his subsequent struggle to beat the disease. This is based on the life of the screenwriter Will Reiser's life. And of course, everyone's big concern about this movie in particular was, how do you make a good, lightweight, heartfelt comedy about cancer? Cancer really is something where it's just kind of like, you know, there's not really much of a laugh, is of a humor element you can add to this, but lo and behold, 50-50 not only did it, but did it in a way where it makes this one of the year's best movies. They pulled it off and did a damn good job at it. It's a breakthrough for Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who is always somebody I've really liked. I've liked his work in supporting roles, from his work in television, and of course on Third Rock from the Sun, also from his stuff that he does on Hit Record on TV. I'm a big fan of this guy. I've really enjoyed his work over the years. He's given another solid performance in here. He's really great. Seth Rogen, this is a big return to form for him. I mean, he was being Seth Rogen while at the same time not being Seth Rogen. He brought an element to the table here that has been missing from the couple of movies that he's been doing since then. He got a really strong cast that also includes Angelica Houston, Anna Kendrick, Philip Baker Hall, Matt Frewer, all very well done. And it does play its part out very well. And it's, like I said, it's hard to make a comedy about cancer and make it good, funny, and moving. And I think Funny People tried to do that, and while it wasn't perfect, it worked just enough. This is the movie that Funny People was trying to be, and succeeded much better than a movie like this succeeded much better than a movie like Funny People did. It also does keep you guessing at the end, because it's obvious the screenwriter lived in real life, because he wrote the script, obviously. But you don't even know if Gordon-Levitt's going to make it to the end, because we know how Hollywood acts these days, and it ends on a really solid note overall that really does push it to make it seem like they're not just forcing it in there at the last minute, forcing a happy ending in there at the last minute. Like, it feels like a legitimately good ending overall that fits for the story that is in this particular film. It is one of the best movies of the year. It takes a very serious subject and makes a really good comedy out of it. The cast is great. The jokes work really well. The comedy bits work very well. The emotional moments are really good. It's just a really, really damn good movie, and one that I highly recommend checking out. 50-50 is indeed one of the year's best movies, bar none.
Money. We're a small market team. Fine players are the money that we do have.
There's a championship team that we could afford because everyone else undervalues them, like an island of misfit toys.
We're going to shake things up.
You don't put a team together with a computer.
Billy Bean has tried to reinvent a system that's been working for years.
I say it's just getting started.
What is happening in Oakland? It defies everything we know about baseball.
Just plain crazy.
A system that's so damn good, they went on to win no championships. Not even kidding, they literally won no championships through this entire process. But that doesn't mean the movie itself has to suffer either. Welcome to Time About the Movies, though. Today we are taking a look at the 5 films of September 23rd, 2011. And we start off with the biggest of the new releases, and that is, of course, Moneyball. Based off the best-selling book by Michael Lewis and on the true story of Billy Bean, played by Brad Pitt, general manager of the Oakland Athletics, as an attempt to create a competitive team despite Oakland's unfavorable financial situation with an innovative player recruitment strategy using sophisticated statistical analytics and analysis of their performances. You have a cast that also includes the aforementioned Jonah Hill, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Robin Wright, Chris Pratt, written by Aaron Sorkin and Steve Zissoulian, directed by Bennett Miller. Just a really, really good assortment of talent here. And just all across the board, you have a lot of good people involved in here. And, you know, not every movie with all-star talent on both acting and the creative sides has been good. We've talked about several of them on this show. One of the most notable examples of the past includes stuff like Scenes from a Mall with Bette Midler and Woody Allen, directed by Paul Mazursky. Valentine's Day. How many big celebrities were in that movie? So the big question is, how does Moneyball fare up? Really well. It really is up there with The Social Network as one of the best movies that I saw kind of like The Social Network, I should say, because Social Network came out the year before, but it really was one of the best movies I saw in 2011. I thought Brad Pitt was very good as Billy Bean. I kept seeing Pitt in the same way that I saw George Clooney in Up in the Air. Like, I saw Clooney playing George Clooney in that movie, and in Moneyball, it's basically Brad Pitt playing Brad Pitt. I mean, I like Pitt overall. I just don't think he really distanced himself enough to play somebody unique and different in this film. But I did think his performance overall was really good. Jonah Hill, this is one of his first movies where he steps out of his usual comedy territory and does a serious role. I think it was actually the first one he ever did, honestly. I think there's another one, maybe, but I think this was indeed the first one. But like, it's really good. I like it when comedic actors step out of their usual shtick and do more dramatic stuff, like Will Ferrell or Jim Carrey, or we're going to see Seth Rogen doing it next week with 30-30, with 50-50. But Hill, I thought, was very good in the movie, and I actually had read that Demetri Martin was going to play that role before Jonah Hill stepped in, because Martin passed up on it. I like Demetri Martin, but I don't think he would have played that role very well. I thought Jonah Hill overall was really good in that role. Philip Seymour Hoffman is in here, but only for like the little tiniest bits in this movie, kind of like in Charlie Wilson's War, except in that movie he leaves a lasting impact, and here he's good, but he's not really given a whole lot to do. The best performance overall in the movie to me was Chris Pratt, who at the time was known simply as Andy Dwyer from Parks and Recreation, who plays the first baseman in here. And I thought he really did the best acting job in this movie overall. I kind of felt the same way I did with him with Rashida Jones in the previous year's The Social Network. I thought they both were very good, given these very strong performances overall that should have been Oscar considering performances. But it's a shame that they didn't get the recognition they deserved, because they were really good. And coincidentally, yeah, it's Rashida Jones and Chris Pratt, who played a couple in Parks and Recreation. So it's all coming full circle. What the hell am I doing with my hands? I don't know. But bottom line, the performances are really good. The dialogue is really good. It's Aaron Sorkin and Steven Zazilian doing everything that you can to make a great film, and great writing overall. It's them doing the best of what they do best. Bennett Miller does a very good job directing the film. The only flaws I had with the movie overall was in the last game they showed. They make a big deal about the Oakland A's winning their 20th game in a row and breaking a record, but the next game, which is the championship game, just gotta push it off to the side like it's nothing. I mean, we spent 30 seconds when we spent 15 minutes on that previous game, and it's just kind of like, what's the point of that? It's just like, it really didn't feel like the connection worked there. It's just like, yeah. But then again, it's mostly nitpicky things here, but this really was one of the year's best movies. A really strong film with a great cast, great writing, great direction. The dialogue was great. Moves at a nice pace, you can keep up with it easily. It just works. It is this year's Social Network. It's not quite up there with stuff like Midnight in Paris or Rango or some of the best movies of the year, but it's another really good movie from a year that started off really rough, but definitely in the second half of the year, it's definitely gotten a lot better. This is definitely one of the prime examples of a movie that really does work very well to its advantages, so.
I've got nothing against your friends. I like your friends. Well, things have obviously changed for us.
I have to help Charles finish his movie.
It'd be good for you to spend some time with kids who don't run around with cameras and monster makeup.
Could you close your eyes, please? Yeah.
And action! Guys, watch out! Go, go,
An eastbound freighter derailed. What the cargo was on that freighter, we don't know.
I can't tell anyone. I know.
I understand you have concerns about our cargo.
Colonel Larry, is there anything else that I should know, is there?
I can assure you the answer is no.
We've gotten calls from people who found local dogs, but the calls coming in aren't local. It's like they all just ran away.
I've got property damage. I've got theft. I've got 9 people missing now. There are things happening around here that I can't explain.
And welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the two films of June 10th, 2011. And our first movie is, of course, Super 8. Now, you just saw the trailer that pretty much everybody saw in 2011, but most people forget that. Think back to when you first saw Iron Man 2 on the big screen, and you saw all the trailers for the big summer 2010 movies, and then you got to the very end when this random trailer I'm about to show you started popping up. I mean, this is the same people that made Cloverfield, so why not, tell everybody, hey, here's this big blockbuster we're working on, but we're not going to tell you a single thing about it. And, that was their big marketing plan with this movie. They started it with Iron Man 2, putting that trailer on there. No release date, and lo and behold, a year and a half later, almost over a year later, I should say, not a year and a half, but we finally got this movie. And, needless to say, it definitely delivered on the hype that it promised, and inspired a lot of other things that we'll talk about as we go along here. But this is, of course, Super 8, and it tells the story of a group of young teenagers who are filming their own Super 8 monster movie when a train derails, releasing a dangerous presence into their town. And this takes place in 1979, and as you see, you have Kyle Chandler, Ellie Fanning, and Joe Courtney among the cast in there. And this was a movie I was really looking forward to. They did a good job with the marketing of this, keeping the secrecy of the monster overall and what it looked like. You can tell this was marketed by the same people who did Cloverfield. This is made by the company who made Cloverfield. But this time you add in Steven Spielberg and, of course, Amblin Entertainment. And you see in that trailer the old Amblin Entertainment logo, which, I know it's been 10 years since they've updated that logo, but I still get nostalgia watching that logo over and over again. I mean, the movie gets you right from the get-go with this great music by Michael Giacchino. And you have the Paramount logo followed by the Amblin logo coming up, and then the Bad Robot logo. It's just like, at that point I already knew I was probably going to love the hell out of this movie. And this movie, I was really looking forward to it. It did not disappoint whatsoever. This is a movie that I fell in love with from the very beginning, as I said. It is a film that takes a lot of homages of classic Steven Spielberg films, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, E.T. the Extraterrestrial. In a way, I consider it kind of to be the end of Spielberg's Alien trilogy. Even though he wasn't the director on this, he was still very much involved in this film. And it helps that you have a great young cast that includes Elle Fanning and also Joe Courtney, who are both really good on screen together. Kyle Chandler is very good in this. A big chance for him to get a big leading role after his success on Friday Night Lights and on Early Edition. He does a great job playing the lead boy's father. The monster did look pretty cool, and I'm glad to see that it wasn't the disappointment that I was afraid it was going to be. I mean, it does have kind of the look of the Cloverfield monster, but not really. It has its own kind of distinctive look to it that really does kind of help it out. And the film does feel like a film that was made in the 1970s. They did a pretty good job of creating the visual look of the film to make it seem like it was something from a time capsule from back in the day. And once again, man, like I said, Michael Giacchino, fantastic score. I mean, this is probably one of the best scores I've heard in the last 20 years, right behind Daft Punk's Tron Legacy score. I mean, the ending of the movie is just so good. It doesn't bullshit out of a way to continue the story on this alien as like to build up a sequel or anything. No. it has a perfect ending. It wraps up nicely. It doesn't need to have another story to continue, another film to continue it, to show why this movie is so special. It's just that great of a film. And like I said, you can tell that this movie was the beginning of the influential trend that we're going to see with Stranger Things popping up about 5 years later. I mean, of course, Stranger Things is very much similar to Super 8, except they've taken that and added new elements to it to make it stand out on its own. And you can really pinpoint to Super 8 being the thing that kind of pushed that to the next to where we got to Stranger Things and kind of the nostalgic feel that we get for movies and TV shows nowadays. Like, you can tell a lot of things take a lot of influence from Stranger Things, but Stranger Things took a lot of influence from Super 8, and that's really kind of the cool thing about this movie. It sadly doesn't get the appreciation I think it deserves. I think it's definitely a film that really is a lot better than people let on. I think it's a film that it was kind of stuck in Cloverfield shadows because it came out so soon after the original. I mean, the film did well with critics overall, but audiences were just kind of mixed about it. It got kind of lost in the shuffle for a little bit, and you really don't hear a lot of people talk about it anymore. It's a shame because this movie still holds up after all these years. It's a wonderful, action-packed movie. It is very much a perfect film. It's a film that does not have many flaws to it. It's a good, fun movie all across the board. I had a good time with it. I was really glad to see that it held up after all these years. I mean, what more can you say, man? Super 8 is a fantastic film. I can't recommend this one enough. Definitely seek it out. Give it another chance, because it's actually a lot better than you might think it actually is. So yeah, that's Super 8.
Harry Potter, you have allowed your friends to die for you, rather than face me yourself. Join me and confront your fate.
Come on, Tom. Let's finish this the way we started. Together!
This film is not yet rated in theaters and IMAX 3D.
Welcome to Time About the Movies, where we come to the biggest weekend of the year, July 15, 2011, with two big new releases, at least one gigantic release. The other, we'll eventually get to it, because, you can already tell I'm riled up about this decision, but we finally have gotten to a weekend I've been waiting for ever since I started this show, but, let's begin, of course, with the biggest new release of the weekend, which is, of course, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. And after the events of Part 1, Harry, Ron, and Hermione try to end Voldemort's plans once and for all, and the film leads up to the long-awaited battle between Harry and Voldemort, where there can only be one. Here we are, born to be kings with it. Okay, I'm sorry, this is not Highlander, but where one of them, of course, can live forever. Even though that's literally the plot of Highlander, and yeah, a Highlander can live forever, and yeah, this is exactly what it's basically, essentially what this is what Harry Potter's basically come down to this moment here, and like I said, I said before that I wasn't the biggest Harry Potter fan when it first started. I didn't get into the books until very late on, and even then, I didn't read the books up until well after I watched the movies, and even the movies, I didn't really get into them until this movie came out with Deathly Hallows Part 1. It's actually, I can't remember if it was Part 1 or Part 2. I think it was Part 1, actually, but as I was watching Part 2, I really I didn't see the other Harry Potter films up to that point, but despite how little knowledge I knew back then, I still really enjoyed the hell out of this movie. And even now that I've seen all the Harry Potter movies and also the Fantastic Beasts films, which I would like to avoid those movies, but we'll eventually have to get to them in 2016, starting in 2016, but I still really enjoyed this. It's a very satisfying conclusion to this long-running franchise, and even though at that point I had only seen a couple of films, you still feel really emotional for the characters. These are very likable characters that you come to know and love, and you really do get behind their cause and want to see them succeed at the end of the storyline. And like I said, because this is a two-part movie, obviously the first part's not going to be as good as the second part is. The second part, of course, has delivered everything that the first film probably was promising overall, but it's arguably, easily a much better movie than the first film is. The special effects and the practical effects are nicely spliced together. The action sequences overall are still kick-ass. It's a very satisfying story, combining all the elements from the previous films and tying up all the loose ends of the series, even though it doesn't go as chaotic as something like Spider-Man 3, where they try to tie up all the loose ends, but the story just goes way too over-the-top ridiculous, especially the dance scene with Peter, where he beats up Mary Jane for no particular reason. But this does a fantastic job at wrapping the series up and giving this epic end to a series that began 10 years ago and has completely gone a whole different direction than a lot of people were expecting when these films began. Remember, these films began as kids' films with Chris Columbus taking them, and the people in this movie when they were little kids, and people thought this was going to crash and burn, and it changed the game in terms of how to turn a best-selling book series into a blockbuster film franchise, and we've seen how that's done. The third act overall, I think, is one of the best third acts I've ever seen, maybe even better than Return of the King. And the final minutes perfectly sum up the entire series in general, wrap it up nicely, gives us a great and fitting end to these characters and to the series, and end it on a good note that we really don't need to see any more from this universe in general. But, of course, Warner Brothers wants more money because Harry Potter's their big cash cow. So, of course, let's hire J.K. Rowling, who has never written a script before, to create a series that is completely irrelevant to what has been done beforehand with the Fantastic Beasts series, which, like I said, we'll delve more into that in a couple years' time, but all those movies are terrible. Even the first one was really such a major disappointment. I was expecting so much more from that after watching all the movies at that point. And, yeah, the Fantastic Beasts is a terrible franchise of films. Why do we even need it to be a franchise? You could have just ended the series there, and it would have been perfectly fine. But no, we have to keep it going because the money that these things bring in, baby, that's pretty much all the reason why they did this. And, yeah, needless to say, those movies are terrible. But again, we will delve into those later on down the road. Let's praise the Harry Potter series itself because, yeah, the Harry Potter series itself is absolutely amazing. It's a series that has gotten better as the series goes on. As the kids get older, the stories get more intriguing and much more interesting. As the movies keep going, the darker elements start to come into play. It's no longer a kids' movie. It's a story that you're following from these young kids at the beginning to these adults dealing with adult problems, and it works very well to the T here. It's a very good movie. It's an incredible conclusion to the series. It's easily one of the best movie experiences of the year, and it does not fail on the hype that it built up. I mean, this is the perfect conclusion to the series in general, and because Harry Potter was so successful, everybody was going to do a two-part film for their conclusion from this point going forward. I mean, that's literally what they were planning on doing with Twilight, which we'll get to later in the year, which, again, another series that failed miserably at doing the two-part thing. Hunger Games did it too, which was much better than Twilight, but still not as good. But regardless, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 is absolutely amazing. Now, if you're smart, you're not putting your movie anywhere near this film because, of course, this is going to gobble up the box office. Of course, everybody's going to want to go see this movie ASAP. You would be really, really stupid to put another film based off of another popular children's book from Britain in this slot here. And okay, I've built this up long enough. Let's talk about why releasing Winnie the Pooh on the same weekend as Harry Potter is one of the stupidest decisions in Disney history. And that's saying a lot.
I can see you're going to be rather feisty today.
I am known for my inspiring rhetoric.
Bucky Woo-hoo-hoo! A simple hello would do. Thank you very much.
There they are.
Christopher Robin!
We will have a contest to find a new tail for Eel.
Yes, well, the thing to do is issue a reward.
Gesundheit.
I beg your pardon?
You sneezed.
No, I didn't. The word is issue, not at you.
You must be catching a cold.
I'll probably catch it too.
If I could borrow some honey. Oh, just a taste. A small lick, I should think.
Silly old bear.
Just why, of the stupidest decisions that you could do as a studio, you look at Harry Potter and you think to yourself, yeah, Harry Potter's going to probably clean up the box office, but you know what we could do? Let's go ahead and put Winnie the Pooh deep in the summer season, and when it flops, we can be just like, well, we don't know what we were doing. We're just really stupid by thinking about that. And yeah, it's unbelievable that Disney did this and completely botched this film's chances of making any money at the box office. Because yeah, not surprisingly, it crashed and burned. And you could make the argument that, well, if you released it, you could make the argument that, well, maybe Disney didn't know. It's just like, you're opening on the same weekend as Harry Potter, not just any Harry Potter movie, the conclusion of the Harry Potter franchise. And you're going to put this out there and be shocked when it doesn't do well. Yeah. I have a feeling that Disney did this on purpose. You know, you could have put this out in February with, like, the other Winnie the Pooh movies, and it would have still done a hell of a lot better at the box office. And I say it didn't do well, but yeah, $50 million. It still made $50 million off of a $30 million budget. I mean, it's not like Disney's bigger 2D flops that they had at the time. You know, like Treasure Planet or Home on the Range or Brother Bear. Like, it's not onto those levels, but considering everything that Disney was doing at that time, when they were slowly but surely coming back after a rough start to the 2000s, you expect a whole lot more from that. And it's a real stupid decision to put this movie out on the same weekend as the most anticipated film of the year, and then be shocked when the film doesn't make any money. That's their fault for doing that. That's what is. If there's one thing I hate about this movie, it's not the movie itself. It's the decision by Disney to put this out in the middle of the summertime and then be shocked that it didn't do well. What did you think was going to happen? That's all the negativity I have towards this movie. Sort of. We'll talk more about that in just a second, but let's talk about the movie itself, because the movie itself is absolutely amazing. You got Winnie the Pooh, once again, voiced by Jim Cummings. Tigger, voiced by Cummings as well. Rabbit, voiced by Tom Kenny, which I'll get to him in just a little bit. Piglet, voiced by Travis Oates. Owl, voiced by Craig Ferguson. Eeyore, voiced by Bud Lucky from Toy Story 3. Kanga, voiced by Christina Anderson Lopez, who will later go on to create some very memorable songs a couple years later in Frozen. And Roo, played by Wyatt Dean Hall, embarking on a quest to save Christopher Robin, played by Jack Bolter, from an imaginary culprit. The film is based on 3 stories from A.A. Milne's original stories. And this really was a fantastic movie. It was one of the more enjoyable experiences I had for a pretty mediocre summer when you really look back on it. It's such a good movie. And it's just great to see a 2D animated movie on the big screen again. Top-notch animation. They're going to put their best efforts into it. The voice cast overall is good. Jim Cummings is, I think, one of the great voice actors we have today. And of course, how can you go wrong with Craig Ferguson as Al? I mean, Craig Ferguson can make anything funny. Even in something bad, he can make something funny. And he's great as Al in this. The music is nicely done. There's great songs by Zooey Deschanel, who was going to have a big successful film later on in the series later on in the year with New Girl, which was a big hit, which became a big hit for Fox. And I really do think she's very underappreciated, not just as an actor, but a singer too. And she does a lot of great versions of the Winnie the Pooh songs. The opening song for this, the theme song, she's great doing the song for this. People forget that this woman can sing and be much more than I think people let on. You know, everyone just thinks of her as that woman who looks like a deer in headlights every single time in Elf or The Happening. Well, she's not that. She's much more than that. She is very entertaining, not just as an actress, but as a singer as well. Now, there are a couple things that did bug me a little bit. One of the things, as much as I like the voice cast, and as much as I love Tom Kenny's another one of those great voice actors, I really don't think he was suitable for Rabbit. Like, every time I hear Rabbit in this movie, the first thought I think to myself is, oh, that's SpongeBob SquarePants, or that's Cupid from the Fairly Odd Parents, because he literally sounds like Cupid from the Fairly Odd Parents. Just listen.
Might be something over by the park.
Oh, thank goodness one of us is up there. I was worried we'd be stuck here forever.
Yeah, I found something. Here.
What?
Oh, well, that's a lovely flower, Piglet. Yeah, I thought so, too.
Yes, Piglet, it's very nice. Perennial. But I think we need something longer.
Longer? Of course. How silly of me.
Oh, good thought, Piglet. But you can't possibly think that that's long enough.
Oh, yes it is. Hal read this to me once, and it was certainly the longest thing I'd ever heard.
Oh, it's true, Rabbit. It lags a bit in the middle.
Oh, of all things, why didn't we think to bring a rope?
Oh, well, there is this rope.
Yeah, it should be a little more distinctive, or something that's not something where you could figure out that, oh, this is that person. It's just like, I don't know. I mean, I didn't think he wasn't bad in it, but it was very distracting right away. But in terms of negative things towards the film itself, one of them wasn't even really about the film itself. You know, they had a short that played at the beginning of this called The Ballad of Nessie, which I honestly thought was kind of boring. I mean, the animation looked nice, and you got Billy Connolly doing the narration for it. But besides that, I thought the story and the way it ended wasn't that impressive. It felt kind of like a waste of time. And the big thing that bothers me about this is that it's way too short. Like, I read that the film was supposedly feature like 5 different stories, and they had to cut it down to 3 stories. And because of that, this is only a 63-minute movie. This thing's barely an hour, barely an hour, honestly. You know, this is right up there with Land Before Time, but at least Land Before Time crammed in enough stuff to make it seem like that it wasn't like you were sitting there for only an hour. Like, as soon as you get to the hour mark, you realize that the credits are starting to roll. It's just like, is that it? That's really the end of the movie? And not including the short, which is that additional 6 minutes. So you get like a near 70-minute movie. And I really thought the film was going to be longer, but I don't know. I don't know if they thought that the 2 stories they were going to add in here weren't going to help the flow of the movie. But I really would have liked a longer movie in this case. It's one of the few times where I would say a longer movie would do this a whole lot better than just having it be this one movie that's literally an hour long. Like, it's 11:21 right now. I guarantee if I pop it on right now, I could be done by 12:30 at this point, which would make a whole lot of sense because 70 minutes time, but you get the idea. But one of the things I liked about the Winnie the Pooh stories is that they had never been updated or modified for the children of today. They usually have stayed the same from the very beginning. There was an exception in the Tigger movie segment for where they did the Family Tree song, where they had like satires of the Jerry Springer Show and just random pop culture references. This movie smartly doesn't do that, and I think that was the right way to go with it. It stays tried and true to the original Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, which makes this kind of the second film in that Disney Animated Classics theme, which back then was actually pretty rare. You very rarely had a sequel in that list. I mean, the only one was The Rescuers Down Under, but then, of course, with Frozen and Wreck-It Ralph became big successes in Moana, of course they're going to start adding more to the list there, but this movie really is a terrific film, and I love the way that Winnie the Pooh has essentially stayed the same way as it's always been. I give credit to Disney for not trying to ever change the characters for a new generation like what Fox did with Alvin and the Chipmunks. I mean, those aren't the same Alvin and the Chipmunks that I grew up with as a kid. And even the people that grew up with them from the very beginning, back in the 50s, can look at the Alvin and the Chipmunks they had in these movies and be like, yeah, this is not the Chipmunks I grew up with. Hashtag not my Chipmunks if you want to go down that route, but this really was, Winnie the Pooh, though, really was one of the best movies I saw that year. It's a sweet, overall enjoyable movie. Despite the short running time, the movie is a lot of fun. The music is great. Seeing 2D animation on a big screen just makes it worth it in the end. It's the same old Winnie the Pooh we've come to love back on the big screen again. And it just feels right. It felt absolutely right. Everything about it felt right except the placement. Like, seriously, what were you thinking putting this movie on the same weekend as Harry Potter? That's my last time I'm going to bring it up here, but it's a question that will still baffle me to this very day. Disney will make so many baffling decisions. They've made so many baffling decisions in their history in the past. They're going to make more in the future, guaranteed, but this is right up there with some of the worst decisions they've ever done. And trust me when I say, that's saying a lot.
Here in the Mojave Desert, animals have had millions of years to adapt to the harsh environment. But the lizard? He's going to die.
I mean, that's a perfect way to sum up that movie. It's like that riff I did yesterday for so much for so little. You know, where the narrator goes like, 118,481 of those 2 million people will die before reaching their first birthday. It's just like, that's the way you hook your audience in there by saying, you're going to die in a certain amount of time. But Welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the 6 films of March 4th, 2011. And like I said, we actually have more than one good movie. Case in point, our first film, the biggest new release of the weekend, which is, of course, Rango. And in the story of Rango, it's a film where you have this chameleon, voiced by Johnny Depp, who accidentally ends up in the town of Dirt, an outpost that's in desperate need of a new sheriff. And essentially the plot of the movie is your kind of Three Amigos that's plot where, you know, he's lying and basically he has to become a hero, and they're going to find out who he is in real life. They're going to have the breakup, and then they got to come back to save the day. And yeah, this movie is pretty much a generic movie in terms of its story, but everything else about it is just so damn good. This is one of my favorite movies Nickelodeon has ever done. This is a movie that is just so well done, and it works because it's unlike any animated movie you've ever seen before. It's a smart, surreal, and fun animated film that doesn't just appeal to the kids like the marketing is trying to do, but adults get a kick out of it. It's the first computer animated film outside of a Pixar movie that I can tell in a while that I've seen that adults, I think, will enjoy more than the kids will. I mean, Depp's given out some of his best work as Rango here. I think he's playing it very well here. He's just so good here. You have a great cast that also includes Isla Fisher, Bill Nighy, Abigail Breslin, Alfred Molina, Harry Dean Stanton, Tim Oliphant, Stephen Root, Ned Beatty. Tim Oliphant is playing a character that I was kind of surprised actually kind of worked as well as it did, but he's essentially playing Clint Eastwood for a few dollars more, like in those Sergio Leone spaghetti western type of movies. That's the character he's playing in this, and yeah. It shouldn't work, but goddamn, it actually does work really well here. The visuals overall are really impressive. The motion capture is well done here. They shot all the scenes with the actual actors on a set, and they animated it. I mean, it's weird, because, you know, Robert Zemeckis and his team have been making these motion capture movies like Polar Express and A Christmas Carol, and yet it can't make Marcy's Mom look like a better movie than that's going to when we take a look at it in a couple of weeks, but the people who worked on this film got the motion capture technology not just to work, but work really well and seamlessly well. I mean, Gore Verbinski outdid Robert Zemeckis. Think about that. And for an animation debut, just like what Zack Snyder did with Legend of the Guardians not too long ago, this is some of his best work ever. I mean, I'm not a big Pirates of the Caribbean fan, but I think this is up there with some of his best works, if not his best work yet. There is a lot of good stuff in here. A lot of great homages to the great spaghetti westerns of all time. A great action sequence between two mountaintops. A scene with Hunter S. Thompson from Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Like, I can't believe they threw that in there. And they didn't put this album in 3D. That's the thing that really surprised me about this, because I feel like this movie could have played so well in 3D, and yet they didn't do it. And it still looks incredible. And the trailers did a good job of not spoiling a damn thing about this movie. A majority of the stuff they showed in the trailer only happens in either the first half of the movie or very briefly in the final sequences of the film. And that's great. I love the fact that they have this movie where the trailers don't really give much away, and you have to go in to figure out what this movie is all about. Well, like I said, the story isn't the best overall. It's not the most clever one, but this is a movie that just works so well on so many levels. It's unlike any animated film I've ever seen before, and it works on every single level. There's not a point where it lags or gets boring. It works on every single level. I can't recommend this one enough. You can see why this one won Best Animated Feature, because when you see the rest of the animated films that come out in 2011, this one easily took the cake for the Best Animated Film of the year. Like, in a year where Pixar had their worst movie, where Warner Brothers had Happy Feet 2, which was definitely a major step down compared to the previous film. I mean, this is a good movie that really, really deserved to win this Oscar. I mean, it is the best of the best. I can't recommend this one enough. Rango, if you have not seen it, seek this movie out.
The following stunts were performed by professionals. Sort of.
It is on.
Do not attempt any of what you are about to see.
It's all about this.
Feel. Or taste.
Thanks for carrying me. I threw up a little bit on the 3rd floor.
So sad.
Can I spit a little bit?
Should we tell him he's on fire?
DreamWorks Kung Fu Panda 2, rated PG.
Though, to be perfectly honest, that marketing campaign probably didn't help to sell the film in general, and the film underperformed. I mean, it didn't do bad business overall. It still made its money back, especially with worldwide audiences. But considering that you had a movie that is a sequel to a very popular film, they were expecting something on the levels of Shrek 2, and unfortunately the box office wasn't as strong as it could have been, but at least it was good enough to get 2 more sequels out of it. We still got Kung Fu Panda 3, we still got Kung Fu Panda 4, and honestly, we should be grateful for that, because Kung Fu Panda 2 not only is a great animated DreamWorks sequel, it's probably one of my favorite sequels of all time. And I mean, you can see why when you see the film itself. In the sequel, you have Po, back as voiced by Jack Black, who joined forces with the Furious Five and a group of new kung fu masters to take on an old enemy, a peacock voiced by Gary Oldman with a deadly new weapon that could mean the end of kung fu. And this is a year where, like I said, there was not a lot of great films overall, but, you know, for every you know, have all these really bad films, but then you get something like a Rango, or a Source Code, or a Limitless, or a Midnight in Paris, or, you know, and this film in particular definitely is one of those films that's very high up on the best movies of the year, and it really is a damn good movie that's somehow even better than the original film. And like I said, this is a movie that takes the story elements from the previous film and doesn't just do a retread of the first film. This is a film that The Hangover 2 should have been. They up the ante, they give you more of a backstory, not just on Po, but also on other people as well. Like, you see a friendship beginning to form with Po and Tigress that does continue on into the third movie, and I like that. I like that camaraderie between them, like they're kind of brother and sister, and it's not like a romantic relationship or anything like that, and I like the fact that they did that way. And a lot of these, any of the elements, I like that they expanded the characters in here. They gave these characters depth. We got a big backstory about Poe's family and how he essentially came into the custody of his foster parent. What do you call? What is he? He's voiced by it's not a peacock either, is he? No, it can't be. Peking duck. Chinese goose. I was close. Chinese goose. But you see what happened that led him to basically adopt Po, and it does. And even the movie ends with a teaser for what the third film would eventually become: Po meeting his birth family. And I really like the way they elevate the story here. Everything about this movie really does keep building and building, and it never feels like it's stepping over its boundaries too much. It keeps the spirit of the original film, but at the same time, it does try to do something new with it. I like the way they talk about how Po became the son of a goose noodle maker and how they explain what happened to his parents, as I said before. It's nice to see these characters back on screen again and seeing that they can get some good emotional impacts too. And, you know, when I first saw the movie, I thought the main villain, Lord Chang, was kind of a little too over the top. I mean, Tai Lung I thought was a badass villain in the first film, but watching the movie again since then, I've come to realize that Lord Chang in the movie is probably a much more badass antagonist than Tai Lung. Even though Tai Lung was really great in the first film, you know, Gary Oldman just makes that performance work so well. He's threatening, he's menacing, but he can also have some really good funny lines throughout the course of the film. I mean, he's the perfect type of villain for this movie. And, you know, it is a film that legitimately does get an emotional impact out of you, especially with when you see Poe's backstory and all that. It also has a nice mix of, you know, the CG animation from DreamWorks and also 2D animation blended in there nicely, especially with his origin story, Poe's origin story, and I think it's done very well. The climax is fantastic. You know, you not only have all the Furious Five and all these new Kung Fu masters coming together to take down the villain, but the way Poe defeats the villain, I mean, it's a moment, it's one of the best animated moments I've ever seen. Like, Poe, you know, taking all these things of the weapon that the villain is using and using it against him. It's just such a really cool, fun climax and just some gorgeous animation in this. I mean, this is one of the best sequels I've ever seen. I mean, this is the movie that should have done a hell of a lot better than the big sequel that made more money in The Hangover 2. But this movie definitely is the far superior sequel, easily. What more do I gotta say, man? Kung Fu Panda 2 is a winner on so many levels. It's definitely one of DreamWorks' best sequels. One of DreamWorks' best franchises overall. All four of these movies are really good. Even the fourth one, which is not as strong as the previous three films, but I like to think of it as the Toy Story 4 of the series. Not as good as the previous films, but still more than worthy enough to say that it's definitely worth it to see it. I still like the fourth one a lot. And Kung Fu Panda 2 definitely is probably my favorite one of the entire series, easily. This is the one I can go back to so many times, and I never get tired of it. It's a great sequel, one of the best animated sequels ever, one of the best animated films I've ever seen. Kung Fu Panda 2, what more can I say? Excellent, excellent stuff.
So, Eddie Mora, I mean, you do know you're a freak.
What if there was a pill that could give you everything you ever wanted?
A tablet a day, and what I could do was limitless. I learned to play the piano. Math became useful and fun. I learned everything, about everything. Grazie mille.
Since when do you speak Italian?
How many of us ever know what it is to become the perfect version of ourselves?
You think somebody's watching?
What's the asking price?
12.5.
I'll take it.
Have you asked yourself what you're going to do when you run out?
You'll die. There's no scenario. You don't work for me. No scenario. I see 50 scenarios. That's what it does, Carl. It puts me 50 moves ahead of you.
Worth the risk? What would you do? Limitless. This film is not yet rated. In theaters March 18th.
And already we are putting last week behind us and getting to some really good stuff. Welcome to Time About the Movies, where today we are taking a look at the 3 films of March 18, 2011. And our first movie is, of course, Limitless, which is a thriller about a writer who takes an experimental drug that allows him to use 100% of his mind. As one man evolves into the perfect version of himself, forces more corrupt than he could imagine, mark him for assassination. An out-of-work writer, played by Bradley Cooper's rejection by his girlfriend, played by Abby Cornish, confirms his belief that he has zero future. That all vanishes the day that an old friend introduces Eddie to MDT, a designer pharmaceutical that makes him laser-focused and more confident than any man alive. Now on an MDT-fueled odyssey, everything Eddie's read, heard, or seen is instantly organized and available to him. As the former nobody rises to the top of the financial world, he draws the attention of a business mogul played by Robert De Niro, who sees this enhanced version of Eddie as the tool to make billions. But brutal side effects jeopardize his meteoric ascent. And true story, I had just seen the movie Sucker Punch the day I saw this film, and Abby Cornish was in that movie too. But unlike Sucker Punch, which we're going to get into next week, this is the far superior movie. This is a film that is right up there with Rango as one of the best movies of the year. And again, the year has not been that good, but a movie like this, talk about a film that just came out of nowhere when I saw it. I went in there not really knowing too much about it, except from the trailers that I saw from it. And when I got out of it, it was just like, wow, this was a really, really good movie. And it works because, A, Bradley Cooper, because, you know, by this point, he was still kind of seen as that douchebag dickhead from, like, Wedding Crashers, and kind of the main lead in The Hangover. But in this movie, he really does get a chance to shine here and show that he's not just a guy who works simply in comedy. He can do other things, and he makes his performance work so well. He's great playing Eddie. Robert De Niro usually gives a very good performance. It's probably one of his best performances he's had in a long, long time. And, you know, this is a movie where he kind of redeems himself after, you know, a bad film like Little Fockers, which really was not up to where he should be. And again, Abby Cornish was just in Sucker Punch, which I've seen that same day. And again, we'll talk about that next time around. But she redeems herself here as well. A lot of people in this movie are very good. I like the idea of the pill. It's a really cool concept overall. The story around it is very well done. Director Neil Berger, who did The Illusionist, does a fantastic job with this visual look of the film. And it never gets boring or makes you tired. You really are convinced into this movie all the way to the very end. Everything about it works. It reminds me a lot of Fight Club, honestly. It's a movie you got to pay attention throughout the course of the film, and has a good payoff at the end too. I mean, I feel like it's a film that was gonna have that same type of a cult following that Fight Club did. Even though this was a bigger hit than Fight Club was, it did eventually lead to a television series. So I guess it did have more success than Fight Club did overall. But I think Fight Club has had the big. I mean, me personally, I think Fight Club has had the bigger success, even without really spawning any television series and all that. Like this one is a really good movie. It's a really well done film, very stylized, very cool. Takes you completely by surprise the first time you see it. It's definitely one of the few highlights that 2011 had to offer, and this is a really damn good film. Can't recommend this one enough. Limitless.
My mission.
A bomb exploded on a train outside of Chicago, killing everyone on board. The source code will send you back before the explosion. If you find the bomber, the next attack can be prevented. You'll have 8 minutes.
For Captain Colter Stevens, every passenger is a suspect.
Find a bomb, and you'll find the bomber.
We should get off this train. You're kind of freaking me out.
And every second counts. Source code, rated PG-13. In theaters April 1st.
Source Code is a really damn good movie. The story is that you have a decorated soldier played by Jake Gyllenhaal who wakes up in the body of an unknown man. He discovers he's part of a mission to find the bomb of a Chicago commuter train in an assignment unlike any he's ever known. He learns that he's part of a government experiment called the Source Code, a program that enables him to cross over into another man's identity in the last 8 minutes of his life. With a second, much larger target threatening to kill millions in downtown Chicago, Coulter relives the incident over and over again, gathering clues each time until he solves the mystery of who is behind the bombs and prevents the next attack. You have a cast that also includes Michelle Monaghan, Vera Farmiga, and Jeffrey Wright. This is directed by Duncan Jones, and Duncan Jones has made a lot of really good movies in his career. He did this, he did Moon a couple years prior, which was really good. It's strange because this was the last really good movie he did, because his next film was Warcraft, which wasn't terrible, but this was back when most people still had trouble making a good video game adaptation, and there was a really good video game adaptation that came out that summer in the Angry Birds movie, and Warcraft was supposed to be the best video game movie ever made, and some might say it was, but back then, really think about what kind of video game movies we were getting back then. He also did Mute, which I barely remember, and I don't think really much made of a lasting impact, and then he's doing this film Rogue Trooper, which has yet to be released yet, but it's an animated movie, so maybe it's got potential there, but yeah, this was the last great thing I ever saw him do as a director. I think he did a very good job of it, too. This is definitely a much better movie than a movie like Moon is, and I like Moon, but this movie is a great movie because Jake Gyllenhaal is working his ass off in this. He's giving probably one of his best performances of his career. I love the chemistry between him and Michelle Monaghan, and you also admire the chemistry between him and Vera Farmiga. The trailers overall do a very good job of kind of not telling you what the actual movie is. You have to see the movie to see the full story here, and they're not really showing you in the trailers everything that's going on in the actual movie, because the movie itself really is very well done in keeping you on the edge of your seat. The writing in this movie is top-notch. The climax, one of the best climaxes you'll ever see in a movie. This is that kind of movie that I think a movie like Vantage Point wishes it could have been. Vantage Point wasn't a bad movie, but you could tell that Vantage Point was very much trying to do something unique and different, and a movie like Source Code nabbed it and just said, here, we're going to do it the right way, and lo and behold, that's exactly what they did here. They created a movie that is so much of a mix between one of my all-time favorite movies, Groundhog Day, mixed in with a little bit of Murder on the Orient Express. It's a film that just works on every level. The casting, the story work, the playthrough, the payoff, the visuals. Everything about this movie just works incredibly well. This is one of my favorite movies of 2011. In a year where we've had a lot of really bad movies. You know, we've had some good ones in the last month or so that have been really, really damn good. Rango, Limitless, now we got Source Code. Definitely one you should definitely check out.
Why are you so dressed up?
I was just doing a little writing.
You dress up and put on cologne to write?
Because you know how I think better in the shower and I get the positive ions going in there?
I had a private detective follow him. And what happened? I don't know. The detective agency says the detective is missing.
I love the hell out of this movie. This is a movie that's both a love letter to the way movies used to be in the 60s and 70s, and a love letter to the great literary works of the past as well. It's a movie that explores the themes of both nostalgia and modernism, something that I think most of us can really relate to. The story is simply that you have Gil and Inez, played by Owen Wilson and Rachel McAdams, who travel to Paris as a tag-along vacation on her parents' business trip. Gil is a successful Hollywood writer, but is struggling on his first novel. He falls in love with the city and thinks they should move there after they get married. But Inez does not share his romantic notions of the city, of the idea that the 1920s was the golden age. And while Inez goes out dancing with her friends, one of them played by Loki, of all people, Tom Hiddleston, Gil takes a walk at midnight and discovers what could be the ultimate source of inspiration for writing. Somehow being transported back to the 1920s, where some of the decade's most well-known figures exist, including F. Scott Fitzgerald, Ernest Hemingway, Josephine Baker, Cole Porter, and many others. Gil's daily walks at midnight in Paris could take him closer to the heart of the city, but further from the woman he is about to marry. And this is a movie that, like I said, everyone I think can relate to. We're all nostalgic for something that we loved in the past, and we all have our problems with the modernized world that we're living in, especially nowadays with the way that the world is. We become a society that's become more obsessed with what celebrities are doing that aren't really all that special, and focusing our time on not just those celebrities who shouldn't be celebrities, but clout chasers, people that are just being nuisances for the sake of being popularity. We just saw it this past year with a Minecraft movie where people were just going to the movie theater for a stupid meme and ruining everybody's experience of how it is to go into a theater. Now more than ever, I think a movie like this is more relevant than ever before. This is a film that we can all look at and easily see ourselves in the same situation that we find Owen Wilson in, or even Rachel McAdams' character. Two different generations who, one loves the nostalgic period of the past, and one just wants to move ahead with the future. We can be nostalgic about many things, but the rest of the world doesn't want to acknowledge the way things used to be, and just wants to be focusing on what's popular now. And Owen Wilson's Gil character perfectly captures every one of us who likes nostalgia and how much our passion for it can sometimes make us want to go back to that time and experience it for ourselves. But while his fiancée shares the opposing end of the spectrum, focusing on the world now, it leads into the question of who's right and who's wrong in the situation. In a way, they're kind of both right. But we feel more for Gil than Inez in the way the movie plays it out, because Gil just wants a simpler life, but Inez wants the high life and to live like royalty. And with this, I think Woody Allen delivers his strongest film ever. This is a film that just is the perfect encapsulation of everything that Woody Allen does so well. And Owen Wilson gives one of his strongest performances. Rachel McAdams is usually going to be great in here. You've got a strong cast of people in here, like Corey Stoll as Ernest Hemingway, Tom Hiddleston, who I thought was playing one of the people that Inez goes out to dance with, but I don't think but he's playing F. Scott Fitzgerald. I can't remember if he does too. It's been a while since I've seen the film, but Kathy Bates as Gertrude Stein, Adrian Brody as Salvador Dali. A part of the reason I love this movie so much is because we never find out how this character is going through this journey. Like, why is he going back in time, and everyone else around him isn't, except for one person, which that line from the trailer about the detective is a line that, like, I love the fact that that Kurt Fuller basically says, we hired a detective, but he disappeared last night. Where did he go? The way it's set up in the movie is so damn good. And I'm not going to spoil it for you, because you got to see it for yourself, but it reminds me a lot of Groundhog Day, where we never get an explanation of why Bill Murray keeps explaining the same day. It keeps seeing the same day over and over again. But the way the movie plays out, we really don't need to know how it's happening. Like, why is he repeating the same day over and over again? We don't need to know. We just know that he's going to be a better person by learning from his mistakes. And here, we feel the exact same way. We don't know why Owen Wilson's character is experiencing the situation and nobody else is, except for the detective. But we're so invested in it that we don't care. We just want to see him go through this adventure. And we want to go through that adventure too. You have no idea how much I want to see Paris in my lifetime. Once in my life. Like, there's several places I'd like to visit in my lifetime before I die. New York City's one. Los Angeles is one. Paris is definitely high up there. I'm trying to think of some other ones too, but there probably is. I just can't think of them right now. But yeah, Paris is definitely in the top 3 places I would love to go and see one day. And I think the music in the beginning too really does set the mood for what you're about to watch. The first 5 minutes alone, where it's just music playing over these static shots of Paris, like, you get hooked in right away. You're still invested in what's going on, despite no dialogue, no characters whatsoever. It's just this great music and this great scenery from the city. And I just love the way it's played out. I just love the way this entire movie comes together. And after a really, really rotten year for movies that we've had so far in 2011, this was definitely the highlight of the year. And this film, nothing could ever top what Midnight in Paris was able to do in 2011. I love this movie. It works on so many levels. It's got a great heart to it, characters we can relate to, a great story, great music, a beautiful film that just has a lot of heart to it. It proves that nostalgia can be a great thing no matter what anybody tells you. What more can I say, man? Midnight in Paris, a towering achievement. A towering achievement.